Can.
Oh my God, can we?
Yeah, we absolutely can. Okay.
Okay,
Three, two,
two,
one.
one. Oh,
Okay, good enough.
that was like the most in sync I think we've ever done.
I think so, ironically, as soon as we don't need it.
Like we got it.
We got it. Okay, so hello, friends. Welcome to the Backlogs podcast, the show where two friends do their best to keep up with the ever growing list of things that they want and need to do. My name's Chris, and today I'm taking on all of it. I'm doing wants, I'm doing needs, I'm doing everything. I had a
Wow,
very productive couple of weeks.
that's good. I'm glad. I appreciate the enthusiasm.
Boom, boom.
Um, I'm Erica, and I'll find out as we go along. We'll just make it up.
Okay, so this might be a very me-centric episode, is
I'm
what it
okay with
sounds
that.
like. Okay. So if you are not from the future, if you are from the future, hello. How are things? Don't tell me. I want to be surprised. You have never seen this show before, so let's fill the audience in on what it is. Um, Erica and I have a huge list of things that we need to do, that we want to do, that we've always meant to do, and it keeps
Hmm.
growing every single day into what one might call a backlog. Title drop.
Hmm.
Uh, so this podcast is just we get together every couple of weeks. We talk about like what we've done, how it made us feel, if it was worth beating ourselves up for not doing for so long, and we just get to hang out and like update each other on whatever we're doing with
Yeah.
ourselves. Yeah, it's great.
And don't forget, we do a lot of tangents. Lots of tangents.
That's how conversation goes. I love that your Zoom blur thing keeps trying to blur out your drink.
Oh yeah, it's um
There will be no not until that drink company pays us. Then it can be unblurred. That's what Zoom's doing for us right now.
I just need you to know that if we get that sponsorship, it's going to be mine
Okay,
because I have an addiction.
that's fair. Is it gonna blur my drink? Oh, it does blur my drink. Okay, yeah. So this
Yeah.
mysterious can of something, if you want to pay
Until,
us, yeah. Mm-hmm.
oh my gosh.
What could it be?
I
It
don't
looks
I don't know.
it looks like a beer, but it's not. It's a soda.
I know because I know you don't drink.
I don't drink. I've continued to not drink. We just passed 5 years sobriety, I think.
Wow.
Yeah,
Congratulations.
thank you.
So, how do you feel about it? Do you feel good? Do you feel invigorated?
I mean, yeah, like, but it's reached a point in my life where not drinking has become the normal. I've hit that part of the hedonic treadmill again,
Oh,
where
yeah.
like I don't really get satisfaction out of it anymore because it's just part of my life now. But like that's great. I think that's on its own like a huge victory.
Yeah, I would agree. And like there's so many like medical studies that come out and have said that you're improving your heart health in the long term.
I yeah, and I will improve it even more once I can get my Adderall again, so I can stop drinking these goddamn energy drinks, which are
Oof.
counteracting the sobriety in terms of heart health. Probably.
So like we had a suspicion that my like partner's younger sister had like something going on.
Okay.
And I accidentally made a birthday cake last year with like a caffeine concentrate thing that you're supposed to dilute
Okay.
like it was highly caffeinated. And my partner ended up staying up until like 2 in the morning because of how caffeinated it was.
Yeah.
And she was like, yeah, it just like made me go right to sleep. It was like,
Mm-hmm.
and I was like,
Hmm.
sounds like we're not neurotypical there.
Possibly not. No.
But we love her. She's a little cutie pie. She's not little, she's taller than me, but it's
Good.
not very hard to do.
Love a tall ADHD queen. Yeah. I
Yes.
I could give up like I don't want to drink the energy drinks. I don't like them, but they are an effective replacement temporarily for my ADHD medication that I can't get.
So Why? Do you like know
So,
why?
yes, I have figured it out, which is why I think I could replace them. I just need to
Oh,
make
okay.
I need to make a trip to the store. So there's two things going on. One is obviously the caffeine. Energy drinks are chock full of caffeine. Um, the other thing that they do if you have ADHD is just help you focus. Like they either put you to sleep or they help you focus. It's both. Um, but energy drinks are absolutely overloaded with B vitamins. And B vitamins are heavily correlated with focus, and ADHD is heavily correlated with a B vitamin deficiency.
Hmm.
Um, so it's something I should probably talk to my doctor about before I actually do, because any sort of big diet or medical change is something you should talk to your physician about. But I can just go to the store and get a big multivitamin, especially one of the ones for seniors, because the ones for seniors tend to have an overload of B vitamins and vitamin D, which are both things I need as a person who also has seasonal depression.
Yes, but we pulled through. You said that last time we
Yes.
talked.
Yeah, we are here now. It is spring. I have revived, like, choose your god of death and resurrection to be an analogy. Osiris.
Wow.
Uh,
I feel like Easter would have been a little bit more timely, sir.
I thought about that as soon as Osiris left my mouth. That's what she. Anyway. Um, yeah. Yeah. So
Okay.
if I get myself some B vitamins, I can probably just not drink these horrible energy drinks anymore until I get my Adderall, which will be, the actually really effective thing.
Well, it's America, so we just got to do what we got to do.
Mm-hmm. Sure do. So,
It'll
uh,
be okay.
speaking of getting things done, what you said you didn't have much to add to this one.
Well, so speaking of what I got done last week and
Mm-hmm.
or like the past 2 weeks, and I'm actually like genuinely really proud of this.
Oh,
So, for those of you who don't know me, I'm getting a PhD right now, and I'm in a data management class right now. And so, this like semester long project that we're doing is like, it's basically like working with your source data and making code. And I had zero, zero coding experience. I'm like barely better than a boomer here when it comes to like technology. It's not a strong point. And I was freaking out because like nothing was working, everything was breaking. I literally wrote in my work log, which is like tracks my homework, that like this project was going to turn me into a marathoner because like I would just get so frustrated I had to stop and go for a run. And I completed my code. Like it worked and everything. And I made a second one. And I am so stinking proud of myself right
that's so
now.
awesome.
And that is like that I did. Like everything. I spent like one day last week. Like last week was crunch because it's due tomorrow. And I spent like one day just like full, like 10 hours
Mm-hmm.
trying to do this stupid coding thing. It
That's
was a year. It was a year. I spent 8 hours trying to
jeez.
figure out how to like scrape a document for a year.
That's big. Coding is hard. What language were you using? Is it Python?
Python.
Python.
Yeah.
Okay.
It
Yeah.
is. Yeah. Newfound appreciation for real.
Oh my god.
Like,
Yeah.
oof.
It's
And
it's
ChatGPT.
was you were using AI to help out?
Oh, so much. Like
Okay.
my professor is very like, I actually really appreciated this. Like one of the first classes that we had was
Hmm.
talking, the discussion wasn't framed this way, but it turned into like an ethics conversation about AI.
Hmm.
And I think where we kind of landed, and I personally landed, is it's like any other tool. Like you need to understand what you're doing
Hmm.
and like how you're using it. And so as long as like you can do that, then like it's not like a bad thing. So
I think there's some added layers to it given how AI are trained. Like if you're
Yeah.
training your own neural network, like there was a thing for a while before ChatGPT came out where people would just like train neural networks on really silly things. Like I don't know if you've ever seen like uh, I fed a neural network a whole bunch of Harry Potter fan fiction and then asked it to write one. Like
No.
stuff like that is what people were using it for, at least on the internet. Um, but yeah, like I know, like art, the image
Oh yeah.
creation AIs, like I don't see a lot of ethical uh justifications for that one personally.
Yeah. It's like, granted, I was focusing at it from like a personal, like individual perspective.
Hmm.
Um, but I do think that like broadly on a societal scale, it's still like very sus and very
Oh, yeah.
suspicious. So
But back
yeah.
on coding, coding is really hard. And that's really like, with even with help from ChatGPT, like that's got to be feel like a huge accomplishment.
I did. I was so proud of myself. I'm like, yeah. And it's just like the win that I needed this semester.
Oh,
I
good.
have not had a lot of wins when it has come to coursework and PhD work this semester. And like, yes, I was like, yeah, even if I don't use this in my PhD, and I will actually use some
Uh,
of this. I was like, I did this.
Python is also, I don't know how much work you do with GIS software, like
Oh
ArcGIS.
God, nope.
Oh, okay, because I was going to say Python is the coding language behind that. So if you know some Python, you can actually get it to do some cool tricks more easily.
Oh,
Yeah.
interesting. No, I know ArcGIS and GIS from all of the planners,
Oh, yeah.
and
Okay.
they just all sound perpetually so sad when they use it. Although there's another group in our class,
Hmm.
and I think you would like this one.
Okay.
They were, they are looking at where you would need to install charging stations and how many buses you would have to run to account for like charging stations if they made it an electric bus route here on A&M's campus.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's pretty
So
cool.
it was. And they have to use their mapping software thingy.
Yeah, as one of those formerly one of those planning students, yeah,
Hold up. What do
there's
you guys call each other?
the Muppers.
Yes.
Yeah. I really think we should have called ourselves Muppets, but no one agreed with me.
I think Muppets would have been better because every time I hear Mups or Muppers, I always think
Mm.
of uppers. And I'm just like,
Well,
y'all collectively decided to do drugs.
I mean, yeah, grad school was a lot of Adderall for me. Um, yeah, no, there was definitely like in any cohort, there was like the 3 to 5 people who were good at and enjoyed using GIS software, and then there was everyone else. So
There,
I
I sit next to the one of the 3 to 5 in my class,
mm,
and he's like, "Oh," he was telling me about like some internship where he had to keep changing map layers,
mhm.
and then he like eventually was like, "No, no, no, like everybody gets 3 edits, and then you're done." Like he was like talking about how like they realized he was so good at it that they kept asking him to change stuff, and he was like, "No, this is
Mhm.
terrible."
There's an undergrad I kind of like Big Brother mentored a little bit. Not the one I did officially through the LGBT thing that I did, but just sort of like a mupper, an MUP, not MUP, not masters. So like an urban planning undergrad that I met, who like found like took her ArcGIS class and like came up to me and was like, I think I found my thing. Like I want to do ArcGIS stuff.
When did you interact with undergrads to
I
befriend
I
them?
have no idea. Oh, I know. The I was the vice president of the Association of Student Planners.
When were you involved in the club?
All the time. I was the vice president.
I did not know this about you. I feel
Yeah.
like this is
I did a lot of extracurricular stuff during my grad program. I did like the LGBTA mentorship thing. I did some volunteer work with some other undergrad classes actually. And then I was the vice president of the Association of Student Planners. And yeah,
And
I
then you met me somewhere in there.
well we were in we were in a class together. We were on that project together.
Yeah, that was a
Yeah.
terrible
The
project.
professor kept thinking I was one of the PhD students, which was not
Yep.
a lone incident.
Oh, that happened more than once?
Frequently, yeah. One of the professors. I don't want to name any names just because we're on the internet, and
Yeah.
one of the other professors, who I'll tell you which one afterwards. At one point was just like surprised I was a master student. Was just like, if you told me that you were a PhD student in critical geography, I would absolutely, like, I wouldn't even bat an eye. And I was like, I don't know what that is. She's like, you do. You just don't know. You don't know that you know what it is.
Is that the professor that taught the class?
No, different class.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that was my sustainable transportation class. I gave a presentation on how safety in city planning is a form of aesthetic.
I remember you taking this class and I remember you talking about that. I am
Uh-huh.
totally blanking
I
on the
I
prof.
was very proud. Like I said, I'll tell you afterwards.
Okay,
I was
thank
very
you.
proud of that presentation because I made the whole thing vaporwave themed as like a joke for myself.
It was what?
Vaporwave. Well, because I was making a presentation about aesthetics, so I chose like a meme internet aesthetic to like make all of my PowerPoint slides.
Oh, that is this thing
Well, it's hard to see because of the blurring, but I assume I see like some purple and
with cats with wings.
think like early 2000s internet glitch, but with like
I'd like to bring up the previous point that I made about how technology is not my thing and I'm
fair.
basically a
Okay.
boomer.
Windows 98 plus romantic marble statues for reasons I don't understand. I don't understand the aesthetic at all. I just thought it was funny that I used it for my presentation on aesthetics.
But who understands aesthetics?
I Plato? What was that? Wasn't that one of
Did you just say
his?
Plato?
Yeah, wasn't that one of his essays on aesthetics? I don't know. I don't know classical philosophers. I never cared about them.
They're dead.
They're dead. They're a bunch of old dick Greek guys. Or
They
Italian
don't,
guys, depending on when we're talking about.
yeah. They don't even, they're just like disintegrated at this point.
True.
That's probably speaking ill of the dead. That's not very nice.
I'm sure plenty of them had great things to say. I mean, one of my favorite internet posts is someone saying "fuck all philosophers" except for whatever Diogenes was saying.
Who?
Diogenes? Yeah, Diogenes was rad as hell.
I
Just
don't even
like
know how to spell that. Um,
Diogenes. He just like
Who?
lived in a trash can and like ranted about how social hierarchy is sin.
His opening line was a Greek philosopher and one of the founders of cynicism.
Yeah.
Oh, there's a dog in his statue.
Hmm. That's maybe not as cute as it appears now, given how classical Greeks felt about dogs.
Wait, how'd they feel about
They did
dogs?
not like dogs.
Oh,
Yeah.
he was a slave,
Oh, that makes sense. That
was
explains
captured
why
by
he
pirates.
hated societal elites so much.
Hmm.
Hmm. That was kind of his
And it
whole thing, from
explains
what I
because he was
remember.
originally born in Turkey, died in
Oh,
Greece,
okay.
and he was captured by pirates and sold into slavery.
Hmm.
Citation Wikipedia. And then, oh, but here, there are many tales about him following Antisthenes and becoming his faithful hound. That is
Oh, okay.
also another Greek dead guy.
Oh,
Maybe Greek, not like captured
okay.
and deposited.
I think Diogenes was also the one who was like shredded.
Oh, they're all classically Greek sculptures.
Yeah, but I think like in contemporary writings of the time, like other philosophers mentioned just how fucking jacked Diogenes was.
Well, it would make sense if he like was a slave, unfortunately.
Yes.
You know, probably
Yeah.
didn't feed him very well and take care of him. So
Did a lot of physical labor
low body fat.
while
Oh,
speaking truth to power. Yeah.
was also noted for having mocked Alexander the Great,
Good
both
for
in
him.
public and to his face.
Yeah, go Diogenes. That's what we're here for.
All right, I need to read this man's Wikipedia page
Okay, but
in
afterwards.
detail afterwards. So, but yeah, so that was my big accomplishment for the
Okay.
week was coding. What about you? What did you do? Did you do anything that made you feel proud,
Oh my
sad?
gosh, yeah.
We're here for
So
everything.
the past 2 weeks have been, I mean, a lot of ups and downs, I think. Not all having to do with me or my ability to feel fulfilled or finish this project. There's just been a lot happening in the past 14 days. Um, I before we leave the topic of coding, I haven't actually done any coding myself. I had the thought a while back, and I'm wondering if you agree. Coding feels very powerful. It feels biblical specifically because you're like speaking, not speaking necessarily, but like wording things into existence. You're like writing, using the power of words to create, and I think that's pretty cool.
I 100% see where you're coming from. Um, but knowing that one tiny little freaking comma can just mess everything up and you have to spend hours trying to figure out where your comma is supposed to go. No, no, it totally takes away all of the mysticism that you would have. Like, yeah, if you were just sitting there, tap, 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 and then like some
Mm-hmm.
stuff happened, 110%. And when your
Mm-hmm.
code runs, that's what happens.
Mm-hmm.
But to get that, no. It's like a band-aid. It just like rip it off and
It's
it's
true.
terrible. And you're just like, oh God.
I did try to learn Python at one point, actually probably at a couple points, and I've just, you know how I
Okay.
am. Um,
But like when you say you tried to learn, was this
mhm,
like on a course? Because like some people in class are like,
yeah,
oh yeah, like I've been teaching myself how to do this. And I'm
yeah.
like, with like what? Do you just tell yourself you're like, oh, I want to create a map today in Python and then you try to figure it out?
I bought like an online course that was on sale. Um,
Ah,
I still have it. I don't think I'm gonna go back to it because I don't really see any reason to get into coding.
can you
Um,
share it? I'll take it.
yeah, I can see if I can send it your way actually.
Ooh, yes,
Um,
please.
sure. Yes, I have done quite a few things the past couple of weeks. I think the first and most relevant is that while you are in your PhD, I am trying to get into mine. And I have only a book and a half to go of the research I'm supposed to do because I finished 2.5 books in the past 2 weeks.
Jeez, that's a
Um,
lot.
yeah, one of them wasn't even related to that list. Um, so yeah, I'm even getting fun reading in. It's
Hey,
wild.
enjoy it while it lasts.
I will. Yeah, so for those of you who don't know, unlike I'm trying to get into a PhD in Europe, and unlike American PhDs, European PhDs do not give you those 2 years at the front of your program to kind of like figure things out. You're supposed to really hit the ground running. So I've talked to a professor at a European university who said, "Hey, your idea is great. I would love to have you here. I will vouch for you, but you need to do like a lot of more research before you get in, just so you can go 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 go." Because technically I do not have any sort of lower official education in the field I'm going into for the PhD. I'm going in for, technically it's medieval archaeology, and my background's in city planning and sociology. So
So you just build over the old stuff.
yeah, basically. No. So she was just like, you've got a bunch of catch up to do on the medieval archaeology side of things before you can actually connect them effectively to the stuff you already know. So she sent me a big list of stuff, and I am almost done with it.
Hey,
Yeah. So the books I finished are, well, we'll save the half a book for next time because wait until I'm done. Excuse me. The books I finished are, I have them over here so I can get the titles right. William White's Unlocking the Church, which is about Victorian church architecture.
Okay. How does that
And
apply to medieval architecture?
it is about, well, actually, in a couple of different ways. So it's about the Victorians had a huge cultural boner for their medieval past, but not the real
Oh,
medieval past. This like golden age, totally rewritten version of their
oh,
medieval
like
past that just so happened to fit their contemporary morals. Um,
like Sir Arthur and all that jazz, not like King Edward
uh,
and King Richard.
like okay, so a lot of the pop culture ideas we have of the medieval times actually come from the Victorians, like the whole idea of like a lot of what we think castles look like tend to be Victorian reproductions of castles and not what medieval castles actually looked like. Like the
Mhm.
whole fairy tale castle thing, absolutely like a Renaissance through Victorian invention. The idea
Yeah.
of like medieval women being just like helpless princesses and housewives is absolutely a Victorian invention, because that fit the Victorian ideal of gender dynamics much more than the medieval ideal of gender
Oh
dynamics.
yeah.
No one
The
is
Vic
going to go ahead.
oh, the Victorians were really gung ho about
Oh,
that gender.
oh, they sure were.
Oh,
No one is going to argue that medieval Europe was some sort of beacon of gender equality, but it was way better than you probably think it is if you haven't studied medieval history.
yeah. Now
Yeah,
people are always like, oh, if you could go back in time, and I'm like, let me just stop. First, no.
I probably wouldn't.
It was like, did you hear about the health rates? I was like, no, thank you. Like, I know I like would like to kick the bucket sooner rather than later comparatively to my friends, but even that's like too early for me. I'm like, no, thank you.
If I could go back in time, I think I would actually go back to pre-human history.
Pre-human. But then you're gonna get eaten by like a
I
T-Rex.
assume if I have time travel technology, I also have the ability to survive wherever.
You
Like
would
maybe I
think
could.
so, but like Marty McFly got beat up.
That's true. Though that was he didn't get to choose when he was going. That was like accident. Okay, time travel is like that could be a different episode. Anyway, the other reason that the book is or that the Victorian churches are related to medieval stuff. So I was saying they have this huge thing for medieval, their
Yeah.
fake medieval past. A lot of the so that was deep into the Reformation, where a lot of the like visual symbolism had been taken out of churches, because Protestants felt that all visual symbolism was idolatry, and churches had moved into this space, or Protestant churches anyway, had moved into this space where they were free from the senses, is the way they were thinking of it. But what that really meant was that Victorian churches, early Victorian churches, were very dominant on hearing. Like they were designed to be acoustically great. They were designed so that you could hear the sermons because the word of God was all that mattered.
Hmm.
As what this book is about is how there were movements that pushed back against that, and as the Victorian era progressed, this sort of fetishization of this fake medieval past had them start bringing in actual elements of old medieval churches, even back into Protestant churches. Even though that was before the Reformation, all those churches were Catholic, et cetera, et cetera. So it got a lot more visually interesting. The architecture became more focused on other senses than just hearing.
But Catholics really they're crushing it on those church architectures.
I mean, yeah,
It's true though.
yeah. I mean, I
I
I have
yeah.
more of an appreciation for Protestant churches now because, like, well, obviously, like Protestant churches these days are not so allergic to the other senses as they would have been in like 1850. Like I grew up in a Protestant church and it had some visual splendor to it. There were like candles and stuff like that. Um, but I completely forget where I was going with that.
Well, I can just fill in because I remember I had a friend in high school and the like spring break trip that year that the school hosted was to Italy and they were stopping at the Vatican.
Okay.
And the kid was like talking about how his dad was saying, like, oh, like when you go to the Vatican, you're going to be really impressed. And like, that's how the Catholic Church is going to get you. And the kid came back and he was like, yeah, it got me. And it is something as a former Catholic who now goes to Protestant church, it does the physical structure makes me a little bit sad.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
like what I hear makes me a lot more happy. So trade-offs.
Yeah. Well, like I said, I do now have a deeper appreciation, like understanding that it is meant to be like acoustically more prominent. One of the common complaints Protestants had about Catholic Mass is that you couldn't hear anything. They
Oh
kept
yeah.
like they were obviously like exaggerating a bit, but they kept referring to like going to Mass and hearing like a vague mumble coming from the other side of the room.
Well, I think that was still a problem that they were trying to address with like what
Mm-hmm.
Vatican II was like the ability to understand mass. So I
Yeah,
don't fault the Protestants. I think that's a fair
yeah,
complaint to have had. Not that I was part of that problem.
right. But yeah, the idea is that the argument that the author makes is that the Victorians started to see churches as, instead of just being like a machine in which one hears the word of God, churches were themselves like textual. They meant something. They communicated something. And so this visual symbolism and other senses started coming back into it as a way to have the church itself be a way of communicating the faith. And it was pretty cool. Also, that author has a real hatred for some of the literature that was put out by the movements who were advocating for these things. Like, he does not hold, William White does not hold back.
Dude, isn't it great when like academic authors start going to town on each other
Oh
and you're
yeah,
just
my
like
god.
getting spicy up in here in my academic journal?
did I did I tell you one of the first times I saw that happen was in our program where
Was it the gentrification people?
no.
Okay.
No, it was it was we were reading an article. I forget what the article was about. We read so many. I can't be
So
arsed to tell them
many.
all apart. But it mentioned oh shoot, what's his name? There's this famous Dutch architect who's like a
Oh,
real big shot. Um God, I don't remember. His name is slipping my mind right now.
okay.
Um
You keep talking.
okay. So I didn't realize this guy was like a real big shot. Um, he was the interviewer and author and compiler for the largest book on the Japanese metabolism, architecture, and city planning movement that happened between the 50s and the 70s. And I learned about that. That was sort of one of my like, it was one of the first like architecture and city planning books I got. Was this one about?
Oh, Rem Koolhaas.
Yeah, that's him. That's him. So like I only knew him from this book about the metabolism movement. And I know that like some of the people he interviewed um, did not hold back in their interviews with their contempt for his extremely Eurocentric point of view when he was asking them questions, which was cool. But I didn't realize he was like a big shot until we got to this article that we were reading in our program, and someone like the author brought up Rem Koolhaas just to shit on him. Like he was only in this article so that the author could vent for a paragraph about how much she hated him.
You're just like, you just have to imagine what it would be like if you went to like a conference with these people.
Mm-hmm.
Like, are they drinking at the bar together and like yelling and about to get into fights? Or are they like holding court on like different sides of the
Mm-hmm.
conference room? So I have no idea.
So there wasn't much more to that book than that one. The takeaways were pretty simple.
Okay.
Mainly, like for the purposes of my research, it's just that there is a lot of historical precedent, especially in England, for people who build religious architecture being very aware of the sensory experience of using it.
Okay.
That was the important takeaway for me. The other book was The Archaeology of Counter Witchcraft by Brian. Nope, not that one. Brian. Hang on. Woo. Sorry, I've got two screens right now, and my Firefox came up on the wrong screen.
Uh-oh.
It's okay. It just means anyone who's actually looking at the screen saw a Zillow post. Um,
Are you buying a house? You moving?
no, okay, we'll talk about that. We'll talk about why there was a Zillow post on my screen in a second. So yeah, this book was Magical House Protection: The Archaeology of Counter Witchcraft by Brian Hoggard. And
Okay.
this one was not on the list. This one was a me book. It was for fun.
Mm.
It is essentially a the it's a discussion. The first half of it is an explanation and exploration of magical charms, magical protective charms that have been found while renovating or excavating buildings in the UK.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's really cool. The second half is just an index of basically every find the author is aware of.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so great resource if that's your shtick. It's not really doesn't really have anything to do with my research at all. It does sort of support the idea that I am accidentally becoming a wizard in pursuing this PhD. But
I support it. You just
I
got to grow out your beard now.
oh, I actually did I have the shorter beard when we last
Yes, you
talked?
did
Okay,
because you
had the
had to
accident.
share.
Yeah.
Yep.
I realized I missed the much shorter beard. I think I look a lot more handsome with like stubble like right about here than
Aw,
with the longer beard. So I don't
you're
know.
always handsome.
Oh, thank you. But yeah, so this book was just I thought it was interesting because it's an architectural like it's a feature of the built environment. This like consideration of magical protection was a
Okay.
feature of the built environment for hundreds of years that still exists in some places, but is not something that we, I think, as contemporary Americans really think about at all. And so it fascinated me as being like this facet that's just like alien to our understanding of architecture.
I think that's interesting because I I knew a lot of Catholics that have like a little like cross over their door for
Mm-hmm.
when they come in and out. Like the Jewish faith has the little, I don't know what they're called, but they're also on their door.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that there are still people who there's still culture that have that, but I do agree that like broadly, I think that that has gone away. Horseshoes over doors at
Yeah,
barns.
well, I've certainly still seen. I mean, I'm from rural Pennsylvania. I've definitely seen horseshoes as a decorative feature. I've also seen what are called the hex barns.
The what?
The hex barns, which is a thing unique to Pennsylvania. They tend to exist in Amish country. They're just like lucky symbols that have been painted on barns,
Oh,
and
okay.
they're very elaborate and they're very beautiful pieces of geometric wall art, but they are mystical in nature.
I thought that we were just I don't know, building houses for like
Witches.
witches. I don't know. Hex barns kind of made it sound like it was a prison, like we're gonna
Yeah,
trap you
well,
in there.
I've noticed that a lot of mystical whatever tends to end up with like the word witch or hex, even if it's supposed to be like protective or divine or
Mm.
whatever. Also, Pennsylvania is chock full of witches. I'm just gonna say that now. We don't have cryptids like other states do. We have witches, we have ghosts, and we have the ghosts of witches, and that's our supernatural realm up here.
Like witches, like spooky ooky, or like witches as like pagan.
Both.
Okay.
we have a we have a very high population of pagans. Basically anywhere you go in the state has a very high population of pagans. Just yeah, it's just a thing. But
You know, that tracks for what I know about Pennsylvania.
in terms of folklore, a lot of the folklore does not revolve around monsters. It revolves around witches, or it revolves around ghosts, or oftentimes the ghosts of witches.
Interesting.
Yeah.
You know that the whole like witch craze was like burning them at the stake was
Uh-huh.
because a dude got rejected.
Hmm.
Yep.
Hmm.
No,
Well, anyway,
it's
so that
great
was
times.
it was a fun book. I
So
had some
what are
issues.
like some cool
Ooh,
architecture features that we might like still be able to
so
see today?
so what? Okay, so let's see. It is apparently still a thing in some parts of the UK to hide shoes in parts of the house while building it.
Okay.
Um, and there are one of the problems I found with the book is that it is almost entirely conjecture. The
Mm.
the evidence of finding these things is fact. The why and like for what purpose it was a lot of conjecture on the part of the author.
Okay.
Um, so
Well,
I
that's kind of how that goes.
yeah yeah. Uh, so let's see. There were like shoes are apparently still a thing. There's these things called daisy wheels, which are like it's a solar symbol. It's just like a six-pointed star in a circle, basically. And it's pretty much ubiquitous across human cultures. Like every culture that has built things has like integrated some version of the symbol somewhere into it.
I love
Um,
like that's what you were cluing in on, and I was thinking that like humans have crossed like time and space, steal shoes and hide them.
well, yeah, I mean maybe that too. Um, so daisy wheels. I mean, you've probably seen one. I'll send you a picture,
Yeah.
and you'll be like, "Oh yeah, I've seen that all over the place." Um, Now, one that's probably won't see too much, but one of my favorite parts of the book was there's a chapter on finding written charms, and written spells obviously are very rare because paper does not last long.
Yeah.
So some of these had to have been very recent, and in fact, a couple of the finds were so contemporary that at least some of the elders in the towns where they were found remembered who did them.
Oh,
So they were just like
wow.
a couple of generations back. Yeah. Um and
Yo,
it
if I had to live through a couple of world wars, I'd be casting out for everything.
yeah, well that was part of the really interesting thing was like with a lot of the the just physical symbols like the shoes or the symbols or the witch bottles which is a bottle full of nails and urine, don't ask. Um
Okay.
yeah. Um the written symbol like the written charms have like who they are invoking and why, which is one of the things that makes them so interesting. And it seems like the people invoking magic were trying to draw power from basically everywhere that they could because these charms are like calling on God and Jesus and the Virgin Mary and the Holy Spirit and also like a bunch of demons from the Lesser Key of Solomon, and they're covered in astrological symbols, and like they're just trying to drag just like they're just like, hey, any supernatural power that'll listen, just like stop that guy from getting the cramps anymore.
I I absolutely love like the intersection of like mainstream denominations with
Mm-hmm.
like folkism,
Mm-hmm.
folk religion. I don't know the appropriate term for
Yeah,
this. Yeah.
folk religion I think is the one that's used most frequently, at least in
Folk
the books
religion.
I've read so far. I don't know if there's discourse on whether that's appropriate or not, but
We'll find out.
yeah.
Drop a comment. Let us know
Please,
if you know.
yeah, tell us more if you have an idea. I know there's a lot of discourse on the definition of religion itself. That's a different paper I read like a couple months ago.
Oh, wow. I feel
Yeah.
like, yeah, it would be interesting to see how that changes. Like, what does it look like? That sort of thing. I also feel like the younger generation's very into like spirituality. So, like, how
Yeah,
is that
yeah.
evolving?
The thing I read was like 100 years of debate on the definition of the word religion, like
Hmm.
what is a religion, what isn't a religion, what like what are the unifying factors of religion, and basically every single definition that has been proposed can be criticized for uh, leaving out some things that we believe are religions. It's usually Buddhism. It's almost always Buddhism. It's like someone comes up with a definition of religion and someone else is like, but Buddhism doesn't have that, and they go, oh shit, fuck, what do I do now? But I
So
think
maybe we should reverse engineer it. Like, what is like how would Buddhism define religion
well,
and go from
that's I
there?
mean that's kind of an interesting thing because Buddhism itself is a very like the as far as we can tell, um the Buddha himself didn't consider what he was doing to be a religion. He thought of himself as like a dude with some good life advice. Um,
So did Jesus, but
well,
here we are.
yeah, but Buddha wasn't like telling anyone they were going to get into the kingdom of heaven or whatever. Like he was just like, hey, like it. He was explicitly in several of the texts that we have, which admittedly were written like 300 years after his death. So who can say as far as the veracity? But some of the older ones have him saying things like, he refuses to engage with questions about the afterlife, with questions about gods or the universe, because he's like, it doesn't matter. You're here now. Like the gods will
Let's
judge
do
you for what
good.
they judge you for. Live your life well.
Yeah,
Like, but
I
there's
appreciate that.
my favorite definition of religion that came out of that. I forget who proposed it, but it just his claim was that religion is what English speakers use to refer to societal institutions that remind them of Christianity.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I don't really have any strong opinions, yay or nay.
In your daily life, the exact academic definition of religion is not going to affect you.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
but I was thinking about it like, but like, okay, so the idea is that you have like an organized, institutionalized, like church, not like not like a church. Yeah, like that would be the Western centric thing. It's like an organized,
Yeah.
institutional thing.
Yeah. So the argument in this case is basically that like the definition is difficult to come by. It's hard to find these like unified ideas of like underpinning religion because the word religion is applied to things first. Like we think, oh, that reminds me of Christianity, so that's a religion, and then we try and justify it later, which is why it's hard to find that academic religion. That's the argument of this one particular guy whose name I
Okay,
don't
so this
remember.
guy is saying that like you see something that reminds you of church, therefore you assume that it's church and you try to like justify it.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
we all know that Christianity is a religion and therefore something is in our minds close enough to Christianity to like trigger those same
Hmm.
feelings, then we call it a religion. And that's just like gotten us into trouble as academics because it's not a logical category, it's not a rational category.
Okay, I'm more on board with this argument.
Uh,
I'm not like 110%
yeah.
convinced. I've been more convinced by other things. I'm more
Sure.
convinced about this Greek dude that I'm going to go read about.
Oh
Um,
yeah. Maybe next episode you should tell us everything you learned about Diogenes.
oh my gosh, that can that just be one of my fun facts, like giving me
Yeah.
like a random side quest to do
Oh my
each
god,
week?
yeah. Oh, actually, okay, so you've heard of that game. um it's been on social media a few times of people like bringing together their friends for a party and everyone comes ready with a PowerPoint presentation.
I'm doing that at my bachelorette party, but yes,
Yes.
yes,
Okay.
I am
So
familiar.
so this is also related to why I had Zillow up. Um, on my stream, which chances are, if you are listening to this, you are listening to it on YouTube, but we do record these originally on Twitch. I'm talking to the audience now.
Oh my
Um,
God, do we have actual people listening to us?
I don't look.
Okay.
I never check the viewers. I found that I enjoy myself a lot more that way when I'm not worrying about it. Uh, we also tend to get more viewers when I don't care
Trying.
about it. Yeah.
It's like love.
Yeah. Um, anyway, I've been trying to do more. Um, Let me finish that sentence. Yeah, dear audience, you are likely watching this on YouTube, but we do record this initially on Twitch. I do have a Twitch channel. It is in the description of the YouTube channel. Come check us out. I got a lot of other content on here.
And it's a lot of fun on Tuesdays
Tuesday?
evenings.
Tuesday evenings?
I thought you said you did it Tuesdays.
Fridays and Sundays.
Oops.
Whoops.
Fridays and Sundays.
Fridays and
Watch
Sundays.
his stream.
Yeah. So I've been trying to do a lot more non-video game related stuff. Like, it's fun to get together with my friends once a week and play video games, but I don't want to be a video game streamer. I got too many other things to do with my time. So I've been trying to, like, now that I have a platform, no matter how small, I'm trying to find other things to do with it. So one of the things that we've been doing recently is some friends who are very much into architecture and I have been curating posts from the Zillow Gone Wild subreddit and taking each other on house tours of just the wildest things we can find. There are a couple of those up on the YouTube channel right now. Erika, if you haven't seen them, if you want to go watch them, they are on the YouTube channel.
Can I join this process?
Yeah, actually, yes. Since you are also one of my friends who is interested in architecture.
Have I told you, sorry, on a different tangent, have I ever told you about my friend who made friends with this chick in her grad school program because of me and my like stress relief activity?
No.
Okay. So one of the things that I do for fun for stress relief is I found a castle buying website. So if you're ever, got 5 million plus to spare, you can go buy a castle. Mm-hmm. And I will go and I'll scroll and I'll do house tours of these castles. And it's like really chill. And my friend was telling this to be friend about me and how this is like one of my activities. And it was like at like an interview weekend. Mm-hmm. And then they like came back 2 months later to start classes. And the chick was like, yeah, I started doing what your friend does and looking up castles. And she's like, it's really great. So
yeah, you can absolutely be on our panel of judges as we go through them. But also, one of the things I pitched to my Stardew Valley group, which is our like thing on Sundays now, is that presentation game, basically. Just like we all find some either an interesting thing to research or try and make a like. I've seen ones where it's like a persuasive argument, like you have to make a really ridiculous persuasive presentation, which I understand is also being made into a TV show on Dropout. I'm not sure if you're familiar with the Dropout streaming service. Okay. It's comedy. It's a lot of the old college humor people before that like went under. And at the end of the month they're gonna start a show called Smarty Pants, I think, which is just a bunch of their regulars like giving persuasive arguments about ridiculous things. The trailer included like why eggs are the best. What was it? Why eggs are the best food? Why Spider-Man should say the N-word more often.
Eggs are amazing. I don't know why you wouldn't want to eat eggs.
Yeah, well, we're not going to comment on the second one.
No, we're not.
No. Why the government should build me, specifically a giant robot. Like, yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. So I don't know if we do the research angle or if we do the persuasive argument. I mean, maybe both. Like, there's no reason we couldn't do it twice for our own. Yeah.
I support it. So I have, for this upcoming 2-week period, I have to go on my side quest about Diogenes.
Diogenes.
And we're going to learn how to say his name.
Diogenesis.
We got some D and some G's. There are like most of the right letters. And I'm going to do a Twitch. I got to set up a Twitch account. I do have to do that because I want to join a book club. And then what are you going to do? You're going to finish your other book because you have half a book left.
Digenesis means successive reproduction by sexual and asexual methods. It's a word.
So just like reproduction.
Yeah, well maybe it means by both sexual and asexual methods. I'm not sure.
Oh, okay, so that's like the umbrella term.
I guess. I don't. Oh, successive reproduction by two processes, sexual in one generation and then asexual in the next, so back and forth.
Oh,
Interesting. I wonder
isn't
what.
that like some lizard stuff?
Maybe I was gonna say. I wonder what life forms do that.
Why do I know that word?
Anyway, his name is Diogenes.
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 What did I say?
Digenesis. That's why I looked it up.
There has to be an animal that does this.
Probably.
Oh,
So you don't need a Twitch account to like join in the Twitch streams. We just need like to do like this over Zoom. Um,
ah.
but if you're not following my channel already, you will need a Twitch account to follow it.
I have finally decided to cave to join this book club.
Okay.
So
You're like streaming a book club on Twitch?
I don't really understand. This is like an established, maybe it's not Twitch.
Okay.
No, it's Discord. Never
Oh,
mind.
oh, actually that's even better because that is how we voice chat for stream usually.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so once you do that, tell me your username so I can invite you to future sessions.
Wow, I'm gonna be like a real millennial after this.
Oh my god.
I know, so much tech, so
Just
much
in
technology.
just in time for Gen Z.
Oh, yay me. Not
um
for that. I just like really want to be old. And
okay.
yes.
So I
Okay, but what else? You have a half a book to finish.
yeah. So I still have half a book to finish. So I will do that. I will try and finish my other one, but it is 900 pages, so
Oof.
chances are pretty small. I mean, I don't think looking through the table of contents, I don't think I need to read all of it. I think this is one where I find the relevant parts and I read
Mm.
those.
Okay,
So,
hold up. So you have to finish half a book and then you want to start the
mm,
900-page book.
at least figure out what from it I should prioritize. Yeah.
Okay.
By the way, we started our garden this past couple of weeks.
Aw,
Yeah, we got it all set up, and I'm very happy about it. It's very nice to. I have a money tree. It's over here.
a money tree.
A
Oh, is that the
money
little circle
tree.
thingy?
No, it's so apparently it's native to South America. It is actually several trees, kind of bonsaied together, and
Okay,
sold as a single plant. Um,
interesting.
in the wild, they can grow up to 60 feet. In a
Oh,
in a house, they can grow up to 8. Yeah, one of those guys. They're like a South American marsh tree. But I don't know. This little guy just called to me. Like I saw him or I saw them. I guess they're a composite life form. I saw them when we were getting some seeds and stuff, and I was just like something about him. Just like I need to fix you. You look like you're dying, and I need to save you. He's doing better now. He's a lot greener, or they're a lot greener. I'm sorry, I keep misgendering my plant.
you sound like this chick off of the most recent episode of Love is Blind, and she's like, I'm a red flag hoe. And like this is just what you're getting. You're like, I saw a tree with all the red leaves and I wanted it and I was gonna fix it. And
Well,
here I am fixing it.
it's not inaccurate to how I used to perceive romantic relationships, but I'm healthier now.
That's good.
I've gone through
I was thinking
therapy, so
about
now I
like,
try and fix houseplants instead of people.
oh, that's good. We're
Houseplants in
channeling
society.
it into slightly, well, the house plant is a little more realistic, but
Yeah.
I was thinking about high school me and I was like, ooh, you were a little cringe. Actually, Facebook Meta needs to get rid of their like posts. They keep bringing back stuff that I posted. And I'm
Oh
like,
yeah.
I saw one the other day where I was talking about how I was like having a bad day in a grocery store and then told somebody that I had an A on my English paper. And I was like, That was a terrible, terrible humble brag, Erica. Like, what even? So yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, so I guess there are a few other things I did, but I don't remember what they are, which I was expecting to happen.
Oh, okay.
But it sounds like we're running out of time for you anyway. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Sorry.
Okay, so for next time, you're going to research Diogenes. Do you have anything you need to do that's on your list? I don't feel like adding new things to your list to do is necessarily in the spirit of the of the podcast.
I need, well, I want to start my year photo album.
Okay.
That's like something that I wanted to do. And now we're like 4 months into the new year and I have not started on my like monthly like
Okay.
monthly frame. So I want to do that. That's a want.
Okay.
I do have needs, but I'm going to ignore those.
That's not healthy.
I'll get my like important like fruits and vegetables and
Okay, okay.
10,000
Yeah,
steps in.
well,
Whatever.
is there anything like that's actually something you've been intending to do for a while that you just haven't that you think you could do in the next 2 weeks?
Yeah, my wedding invitation.
Fair, fair.
My life. Um, I have to, here's a need. I have
Hmm.
to make it to Dallas and then I have to make it back from Dallas at some time in the next 2 weeks and survive. So,
Okay.
and it's more challenging than it sounds like because my car is a little bit questionable and we have to drive past the prison. So,
Ooh. Okay.
literal signs that are like, don't stop for hitchhikers. I'm like, this is
Mm.
not questionable.
Oh, I don't think I've told you there's an urban planning decision where I live that I find quite questionable, but for the sake of not revealing where I live to the internet, I will tell you about this after we stop recording. Uh,
I'm just saying, if I was a listener, I'd be really annoyed about the amount of times you have said, I'll tell you after.
well, yeah, you know. Hey, I think everyone understands. There's a certain level of
Yeah.
anonymity. There's a certain level of secrecy you want to keep.
Nice pivot.
Thank you. Very Porky Pig of me.
Porky Pig.
He did would do this thing where he would like try and say a word a couple of times and then change to something else, right? Wasn't that Porky
Oh, you
Pig?
mean the cartoon thing?
Yeah,
I
the
don't
Looney
know.
Tune. Okay. All right.
I
So
don't know. Gonna get
before
attacked.
before next time, I guess I have a book to finish, a book to figure out. By next time, there's a couple of I've been, especially due to some recent events, I've been looking more and more into actually I've been looking more into local groups, like local social groups, local activism groups, and things like that. Because I've realized I took a break from doing like activism kind of work after grad school because I was just so burnt out from the combination of grad school and all of my extracurriculars.
Yeah.
Um, and I realized I've sort of let that languish. Like I graduated 2 years ago, so it's a high time. It's high time I get back into the game. So I've been looking into that, and since the theme of this year is building community, I'm like that's a thing I want to do kind of perennially. Uh,
Yeah.
yeah, that's a thing I will have made some progress on by next time.
Yes.
Yeah,
I support it.
thank you.
Go make your corner a little bit better.
Hmm. Okay, is there anything else?
No, I feel like I just disappointed you though.
No.
You're like,
No.
okay, this chick.
I'm uh realizing I'm getting a little bit more tired than I think I was, and my brain just sort of like I don't know what that was. I think that was like a flat line on a heart monitor, but that's not the impression I want to give right now.
So what I'm hearing is you got to do a wrap up, and we're all gonna
Yes.
go take a nap.
Yep, gonna do a wrap up and then we take a nap up. Uh thank you. Thank you. Thank you. All right, everyone. Hey, thank you for listening in, whether you are listening in on Twitch or whether you are listening in on YouTube. We are the Backlogs podcast. We are going to record every 2 weeks
Hopefully.
in perpetuity if we are able to. Yeah, so if you liked what you heard, give us a like, give us a whatever website you're on, like a subscribe, a follow, whatever's happening. And yeah, check out some of the other content that we have around here. I've just been kind of experimenting with what I want to use my online platforms for, so there's a bunch of stuff. You might like some of it. Who can say? Yeah.
I support.
Anything else you want to say, Erica?
Nope. Have a good night.
Have a good night. Good night, everybody. We will see you next
Bye.
time. Bye.